purposes of a pilgrimage can be one of the biggest and most important tourism experiences that a person has in their lifetime. Whether this involves taking a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Mecca or hiking the Camino de Santiago, through to visiting Graceland as an Elvis fan or Barcelona because you are crazy about the football there. Pilgrimage tourism is a big part of the tourism industry around the world. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why and how it occurs. Pilgrimage tourism is essentially the process of visiting pilgrimage sites. These are primarily religious destinations and can even be said to have formed a very early version of tourism. Typically, pilgrimages are long journeys taken over days, weeks, or even months for religious purposes. They are a whole journey, one that people of faith take in order to strengthen their relationship with religion. However, pilgrimage tourism can include visits to specific churches or mosques or other religious landmarks in the city you might be visiting whilst on holiday. It doesn't have to be a long drawn-out journey, like a typical pilgrimage. It can in fact be a quick visit that forms part of any other kind of tourism. According to Vijay Yanand, pilgrimage tourism can be defined as the type of tourism that entirely or powerfully motivates tourists for the achievement of religious attitude and practices. It's one of the oldest types of visiting attractions and a global experience in the olden times of spiritual growth, and it can be differentiated into different forms. The temporary religious sightseeing is well known by excursions to close-by pilgrimage centres or religious conferences. The durable implies visits of quite a few days or weeks to nationwide and worldwide pilgrimage sites or conferences. So we know what it is, but why is it important? Well, we can answer this question from two perspectives, really. From those of the pilgrims, and for the destination itself, and the industry. For the pilgrims themselves, traditional pilgrimages are very important to very many people. They are linked to almost all religions across the globe. People travel to certain destinations to experience religious enlightenment. The journey itself, often long and sometimes difficult, is a chance to reflect. Whether taken alone or in a group, a pilgrimage is something that helps people in some way. This might be something people choose to do after a loss. Being alone with your grief as you journey to somewhere spiritual can be a great way of healing. Or a person might want to change their life in some way. The chance for reflection and being alone with your thoughts for days at a time might help a person to make tough decisions that they've been pondering for a while. And if someone is trying to decide whether to take a new job or has some other big decision to make, it might help. Big life decisions are often made during pilgrimages. Pilgrimages can also be a way to deepen your relationship with religion too. It's a way of showing how dedicated a person is to their faith. And it's a chance to learn more about the religion itself. Pilgrimages tend to echo the footsteps of prominent figures from different religions, or they end at somewhere that is very significant. Another reason why pilgrimages are so important to so many people is that it can be a chance to ask for forgiveness of, or seek a favour from, the deity that you worship. Because the destination tends to be such a holy place, many people believe that praying here means that there's a higher chance that your prayer will be answered. And pilgrimage tourism is also really important for the wider tourism industry and the destination where it takes place. There are so many destinations that are popular with pilgrims, and they hold significance for different religions. As with many types of tourism, pilgrimage tourism does have a huge economic impact, and this can be capitalised on if it's managed well. Some pilgrimage destinations and locations rely entirely on this kind of tourism for their income. This money then is passed on to surrounding areas. B&Bs get more bookings, restaurants see more traffic, local shops gain more customers. Jobs are created, tour guides, people making souvenirs, photographers, etc. According to NBC News, religious travel generates at least $8 billion a year for shrine-centered economies. And it provides employment for thousands, according to academics. And being able to measure the celestial and spiritual elements of pilgrimage in monetary terms is far from a modern phenomenon. It's as ancient as the act of spiritual travel itself. It's also important in that it allows people who work with these religious pilgrimage destinations to share their faith too. And this is a big thing for lots of people. Many destinations also see day visitors, that is, people who have not undertaken a long journey to get there, i.e. the pilgrimage itself, but who still want to visit the location as a tourist. this plows a lot of money into the industry too. And before we move on, it is important to note that not all pilgrimages are religious. The term can often mean just going somewhere that's really special for a specific reason. This is more of a personal pilgrimage. It's still a type of tourism too. Examples include Elvis superfans who visit Graceland, or someone travelling to another country to finally watch their favourite football team in action. So we know what it is, we know why it's important, but where is it? Where do people go for pilgrimage tourism? There will be a few destinations on the list that are instantly recognisable to most, so let's take a look at them. The first example is Lourdes. Located in southwestern France, this is a popular Catholic pilgrimage site. It rose to prominence when a peasant girl claimed to see an apparition of the Virgin Mary. Pilgrims tend to visit between March and October, and since 1860, over 200 million people are said to have visited here. And 68 miraculous healings are said to have taken place. The spring water from the grotto is said to have healing properties. Mecca. This is the holy city in Saudi Arabia, and it's a Muslim pilgrimage site, and a very famous one at that. The journey here is known as the Hajj, and it takes place annually. This is a mandatory duty for all adult Muslims, who are expected to go at least once in their lifetime if they are physically and financially able to do so. It takes around 5 or 6 days, and millions of Muslim men and women take this journey together every year to Islam's holiest city, the Camino de Santiago. There are several routes to choose, but they all lead to the shrine of the Apostle St. James the Great in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela, located in Galicia, Spain. His remains are said to be buried here. It's a very long journey, but it is one that is very popular and has a huge impact on pilgrimage tourism. There are several hostels and B&Bs that you can stop in along the way, and you can spot many scallop shapes along the route, as this is a symbol of the pilgrimage. Lumbini. In Nepal, this is said to be the birthplace of Buddhism. As such, many Buddhists from across India and beyond make the journey here every year to where Siddhartha Gautama was born in 623 BC. A beautiful and bright location, it is an important spot for pilgrims who want to see the stone slab where he was born and the pool he was bathed in. The Western Wall. Also known as the Wailing Wall, this is located in the old town of Jerusalem. It is the most important place of pilgrimage for people of the Jewish faith because of its proximity to Temple Mount. This is where God's presence is felt and manifested the most. Because Jewish prayer is forbidden at Temple Mount due to its Islamic connections, the wall is the next best place. People pray and they mourn here, with prayers written down and stuffed into the many cracks in the wall itself. Jerusalem has many other sites that are considered to be important sites for Jewish pilgrims too. People visit the Via Dolorosa, Mount Zion, and the Mount of Olives, amongst other famous places. Bethlehem. Located in the central West Bank of Palestine, Bethlehem is a popular location when it comes to pilgrimage tourism. According to the Nativity, it is the birthplace of Jesus, which is why so many Christians are keen to visit. There's a church here with a grotto said to be the exact place of Jesus' birth. Around 2 million people visit every year. Medjugorje. A smaller pilgrimage location that is definitely not as popular, this is a town in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Since the 1980s, quite a few children have seen apparitions of the Virgin Mary here. This is why Medjugorje is gaining recognition as a somewhat untraditional site of pilgrimage. It currently sees around 1 million visitors every year. Vatican City. This is an incredibly popular location, although not necessarily a pilgrimage site. It is of great importance to Catholicism, however, so it definitely earns a place on this list. Many Catholics come here to pray, for an audience with the Pope, and to admire the beauty of the Sistine Chapel and the rest of this tiny enclave. So there we have it. Now you know, pilgrimage tourism is big, it happens around the world, and it's not always religious. Have you been a pilgrimage tourist? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video interesting, watch this one next.